your weekly shot of Gen AI news.
All right, so ready to dig into some AI news. This week, we're taking a look at AI Espresso's newsletter, issue #22, all about the big AI happenings in the first week of December. We've got updates from OpenAI, Google, Amazon, and more, all pushing the limits of what generative AI can do.
It really feels like we're seeing some breakthroughs that could reshape whole industries, not just tech.
Absolutely. First up, OpenAI is changing the game with ChatGPT Pro. It's a new subscription service, $200 a month.
Yeah, and the interesting thing here is it's not just about premium access. It seems like OpenAI might be setting the stage for how they're going to approach things in the future. Unlimited access to all their models, including that advanced reasoning model, O1, looks like they're going after the professionals, the power users, the people who really need to be on the cutting edge.
And it's not just about getting in, it's about getting in deeper. O1 Pro mode for even more detailed responses, plus access to GPT-4o and advanced voice mode. It's more like building an ecosystem than just selling a product.
Right, so think about someone working in data science or programming or even legal analysis. They could be way ahead of the competition if they're using these tools. But it does make you wonder about who really benefits from this, right? Are we going to see a world where the best AI tools are only for people who can afford them?
It's a good question, for sure. Okay, moving on to what Google's been up to. Their new AI model, Gemma 2, claims it can actually read emotions in images.
Now, this is where it gets really interesting. Gemma 2 uses these super advanced algorithms to analyze things like facial expressions, even other visual cues, to try to figure out how people are feeling in images. Think of what that could mean for advertising, for understanding customer reactions in real time.
It's mind-blowing, really. So valuable for businesses, right? To know how customers are really feeling, to personalize their offers. But how do you even begin to measure something as complex as human emotion? There's so much room for misinterpretation, for bias.
Of course. You have to factor in cultural differences, right? The way people express emotion isn't universal. Even individuals, people react differently to the same situation. This kind of tech, it's still early days. There's a lot of work to do before it's truly accurate and used responsibly.
Definitely something to keep an eye on.
Yeah.
Now, for something a bit more practical, but still super impressive, Twos. An AI-powered to-do list, but it's like having a personal assistant in your pocket, and I mean a really efficient one.
You know, right? Twos doesn't just list your tasks, it connects to 27 other apps, suggesting actions, pulling up links, all based on what you need to do. Say you need to buy a birthday present for a friend. Twos could suggest some gift ideas, even link you right to the store.
Wow, that is seriously cool. It's like it knows what you're thinking, can anticipate your next move. What are some other ways it integrates with apps?
Well, think about this. You put down call the doctor. Twos might pop up a reminder for your calendar, find your doctor's number, even help you book the appointment through an app.
Okay, that would be so useful. Could really streamline your day, make you way more productive.
It has that potential, definitely. But like with any technology that's dealing with your personal info, you have to think about data privacy, right?
Yeah.
How comfortable are we with AI being plugged into our calendars, contacts, maybe even financial stuff?
A good point. It's always about finding that balance. Okay, speaking of AI ecosystems, we got to talk about what Amazon is doing. They just launched Nova, a family of AI models for AWS, and it handles text, images, video.
This is big. Amazon's going head-to-head with Google and Microsoft, building a whole AI ecosystem. Nova can do a lot, from writing marketing copy to creating product recommendations.
And they're talking about expanding those context windows to like over 2 million tokens by 2025, which is insane, the amount of data the AI will be processing. What does that even mean in practical terms?
Basically, the bigger that context window is, the more info the AI can consider when it's generating responses, doing tasks. So Nova will be able to handle way more complex requests, give you more nuanced results. Imagine summarizing huge documents, really accurate translations, even writing whole scripts from a simple prompt.
So we're getting closer to that sci-fi idea of AI that understands and responds like a human.
That's the direction, yeah. And they're planning speech-to-speech and any-to-any models. That last one is really interesting. Imagine putting in a video and having the AI create music based on what it sees and hears.
That's incredible. Seems like Amazon wants to make these tools more affordable, more accessible, kind of democratize AI.
It's the potential, for sure. If it's easier for people to access these tools, who knows what kind of creativity and innovation we'll see.
Okay, last but not least, Microsoft is also getting in on the action with Copilot Vision. It's an AI tool specifically for Copilot Pro subscribers, and it can analyze web pages, answer questions, summarize content. It's still pretty new, only available in the US, only works on certain websites, but it could be a game changer.
What's really interesting about Copilot Vision is how it focuses on accessibility. Think about what it could mean for people with visual impairments, learning disabilities, anyone who needs a little extra help navigating the web, processing information. It could really level the playing field.
For sure. It's like having an AI assistant to break down complicated articles, find info on a web page, even answer your questions about what you're researching. That's empowering.
And it could change how we learn and consume information in general. What if you could get the key points from a giant report in seconds, or a perfect summary of a complex news article? It could totally change how we stay informed and make decisions.
Wow, we've covered so much already. From the price of advanced AI to accessibility to personalized experiences, it's clear this AI landscape is evolving fast.
And we're just getting started. This is just a glimpse into what's happening in the world of AI. In part 2, we're going to dig deeper into what all this means, what the implications are for the future.
It's amazing, right? We went from talking about these specific tools to these huge GE questions about the future of work, ethics, like what it even means to be human. It feels like AI is making us think about philosophy in a whole new way.
It really is, and those are the conversations we need to be having as a society. Because this technology, it's not slowing down. It's what we do with it, how we weave it into our lives. That's the real challenge.
So true. And that made me think about the cost of all this. Like with ChatGPT Pro, it's a subscription, right?
Yeah.
Are we heading towards a digital divide where only the people who can afford to pay get access to the most powerful AI?
Yeah, it's a real concern. If this stuff becomes a luxury, it could create a whole new level of inequality. Imagine students from wealthy families, they've got AI tutors that personalize their learning, while kids from less fortunate backgrounds get left behind. Or big companies using AI to automate jobs boost profits, while smaller businesses struggle to keep up.
It seems like we need to figure out how to make sure these benefits reach everyone, not just a select few. Do you think the government should be involved in shaping these rules?
Absolutely. We need guidelines, regulations to make sure AI is developed and used responsibly. Things like data privacy, bias in algorithms, and of course the impact on jobs. We can't just let the market decide how powerful tech like this gets used, right? Policymakers need to step up and be proactive, make sure AI benefits everyone.
And what about the ethical side of all this? Like with Polygemma 2, the whole idea of AI detecting emotions. How do we make sure that respects people's dignity, their autonomy?
That's a tough one. As AI gets more complex, more ingrained in our lives, we have to keep asking ourselves, what values are we baking into these systems? Are we creating tools that make us better or tools that replace us? And how do we prevent misuse, unintended consequences?
These are questions that go way beyond just tech, don't they? It's about philosophy, ethics, our very understanding of what it means to be human.
You got it. AI isn't just a tech revolution, it's a cultural and societal one. It's forcing us to think about our place in the world. And the answers aren't always easy. We need to keep having these hard conversations, listen to different perspectives, and really think critically about the long-term effects of the choices we're making right now.
It sounds like we need a much bigger picture approach to AI, one that considers not just the technology itself, but the ethical, the social, even the philosophical sides of it. It's not enough to just build smarter machines. We have to build a better future alongside them.
I couldn't agree more. It's time to shift our thinking. Instead of asking, what can AI do? We should be asking, what should AI do? That requires a more nuanced approach, more collaboration. It's not just engineers and computer scientists. It's ethicists, social scientists, policymakers, and the public, all working together.
And that brings us to public engagement. How do we educate people, make sure they have the knowledge and skills to navigate this rapidly changing landscape?
Education is key. We need to introduce AI concepts early on in school, and not just technical skills, but critical thinking, ethical reasoning. People need to understand how AI works, the good, the bad, and how to engage with it in a thoughtful way.
So it's not just about learning to code. It's about learning to think about technology's impact on our lives, our communities.
Exactly. We need to raise a generation of informed citizens who can participate in this conversation, who can advocate for responsible development and use of AI.
This all feels incredibly important, but also, well, overwhelming. Where do we even begin to address these challenges, these big questions?
I know, it can seem like a lot, but there are things we can do. First, we need to put our resources into research and development that focuses not just on making AI better, but on ethical considerations, societal impact, funding projects that look at the risks, that develop safeguards, that promote fairness and transparency in AI systems.
So moving away from that move fast and break things mentality that's been so common in tech.
Yes, we need to be more careful, more responsible. Second, we need stronger regulations, better oversight to make sure AI is developed and used in line with our values, that it protects the public interest. Things like data privacy laws, audits of algorithms, and making sure someone's held accountable when AI systems fail.
That's a tall order, especially when tech is such a global industry.
It's a challenge, definitely, but not impossible. Look at data privacy, for example, with GDPR. We can build on those successes and work towards global cooperation on AI governance.
What about us as individuals? What can we do to make our voices heard, make sure AI benefits everyone?
Plenty. First, stay informed. Read about AI, follow the news, get involved in discussions, ask questions. The more you know about AI, the better you can advocate for its responsible use.
So be an informed consumer of technology. Understand the choices we make, the products we buy, the data we share.
Absolutely. Support companies and organizations that care about ethical AI. Demand transparency, accountability from those who are building these systems. Get involved in conversations about AI policy at the local level, national level. And most importantly, don't be afraid to speak up. Share your concerns.
It's about realizing that we're all stakeholders in the future of AI. Our voices matter. We're not just passive users. We can actively shape how it's developed and used.
Exactly. The future isn't set in stone. It's being shaped right now by the choices we make, the conversations we have, the actions we take. It's on all of us to build a future that reflects our values and benefits all of humanity.
This has been such an insightful conversation. AI is clearly complex, full of potential, but also lots of challenges. Before we wrap up, I want to shift gears just a bit and talk about one last piece of news from the AI Espresso newsletter that really stuck with me.
Yeah, it's wild. We started talking about specific AI tools and somehow ended up talking about the future of work, ethics, even like what it means to be human. It feels like AI is making us ask these big philosophical questions.
Absolutely it is. And those are exactly the kind of questions we need to be thinking about as a society, because this technology, it's not going to stop advancing. The question is, what are WE going to do with it? How are we going to make it part of our lives? That's the real challenge.
That's a good point. And it made me think about one last story from the AI Espresso newsletter. I found it fascinating, but also kind of unsettling. It's about a study that looks at how AI could be used to create like hyper-realistic simulations of human behavior. Oh yeah, I saw that one too. Definitely makes you think. Basically, researchers have built these AI models that can generate these incredibly lifelike simulations of how humans interact, complete with facial expressions, body language, even how they talk. It's really something.
It's straight out of science fiction, right?
Yeah.
Imagine being able to create these virtual versions of ourselves that can talk to other people in these super realistic ways. The potential uses are crazy training simulations, education, entertainment, even therapy.
It's powerful technology for sure. There's no doubt about that. But it also brings up some ethical questions. For example, how do we make sure that these hyper-realistic simulations are used responsibly, that they don't end up spreading misinformation or making people less trusting of each other?
I think that classic question, just because we can do something, does that mean we should?
Exactly. And I think that's a question we need to keep asking ourselves. As AI keeps getting more and more advanced, we have to think about the potential consequences of these technologies and make sure there are safeguards in place to make sure they're used ethically for the good of humanity.
So it seems like we've just scratched the surface of this conversation today. But one thing's for sure, the world of AI is changing fast, and it's going to have a major impact on all of us.
No doubt about it. And this is an ongoing conversation. This AI landscape is always shifting, so we need to stay engaged, keep asking questions, and work towards building the future we want.
That's a great point. So to our listeners, here's what we want you to take away from this deep dive. Stay curious. Keep learning. Don't be afraid to ask those tough questions. And remember the future of AI. It's not set in stone. It's up to all of us to shape it in a way that benefits everyone.
Well said, and thank you for joining us on this exploration of the latest in AI. Until next time, keep diving deep.
Espresso. AI. Espresso. AI. Espresso. Your weekly shot of Gen AI news.